Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'du fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hamim wal kitabil mubin. إنا جعلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير خلقه محمد وآله وأصحابه وأهل بيته وعترته وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. Respected brothers and sisters and my dearest children, welcome to the weekly series of Seeratul Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, lesson number 38. We have reached a stage, alhamdulillah, that we can summarize a little bit of what we have covered so far, because now we are moving on to the next phase, very important phase of the hijrah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is the migration from Mecca to Medina. So we have so far covered his entire life, right from, if you recall, beginning of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and how he acquired the two sons, and both of them Allah Ta'ala decided to give him prophets in his generations. And from one son, Ishaq alayhi salam, all the series from his son Yaqub, all the Bani Israel prophets came until Isa alayhi salatu salam. And Allah Ta'ala reserved Ismail alayhi salam, and from him had decided to send our beloved prophet, the last prophet, Muhammadur Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he is from the Bani Ismail, because if you recall way back in the lessons of early lessons, where we mentioned that Allah Ta'ala gave the order to Ibrahim alayhi salam to leave his wife and son in this deserted area, which is now known as Makkah, where the Zamzam came, and if you recall all those things. And then Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam actually was born in Makkah, and he grew up, and unfortunately we know that he lost his father before he was even born, and then his mother also passed away, very early stages of his life, around when he was 6 or 7. And then he was taken care by his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, who also passed away after a couple of years. And then one of his beloved uncles, Abu Talib, although he did not become Muslim, he looked after him. And this is how it was until he grew up and became a prophet at the age of 40. And we covered all the aspects of the first revelations and so on. And I'm just trying to summarize what we have done so far. And then while he was in this Ghar Hira, the cave where Jibreel alayhi salatu salam came with the first message, and this is how the revelation started, when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in fact saw him in his original form in the first before the first revelation. And then the time passed where in Makkah there were a lot of difficulties Sahaba were facing. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam at one stage gave permission to some of the Sahaba to migrate to Habasha, Abyssinia, and that was the initial first migration. And Sahaba, in order to have a easy life or peaceful life where they were able to freely worship Allah Ta'ala and obey His orders, they migrated to Habsha. And incidentally, uh, the migration of our subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and from different Muslim countries, where we have migrated and settled into these European countries and or the Western world, this could be sort of compared with the migration of the Sahaba to Habasha, Abyssinia. And so, we find that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam actually gave permission because they were facing so many obstacles and difficulties. So, ulama and scholars, they say that for ease and for comfort and for finding a better future, if a person is migrating, we can see that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam actually allowed that, as long as the main obviously thing is the Islam, that Islam is not compromised. Rather, they were having difficulty in following Islam in Makkah. That's why they migrated, and they found that the king of Habasha, Abyssinia, Najashi, he gave them all the facilities, and he was very flexible and allowed them to worship their God, Allah Ta'ala, freely in the way they wanted. Like we are living, in the European countries, or like we are living in Canada, America, where alhamdulillah, we have full support and full flexibility from our governments. And they are being very kind, and they give us full freedom, and we have total freedom. So this is just so Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave that permission, and then we find that he had very tough couple of years after that, which are known in fact as the years of huzn and sorrow and sadness, where suddenly first he lost his wife, and then Abu Talib, both the uncle who was giving him all the support, and his wife, where he was getting the greatest comfort, he lost both of them. And at that point, in his life, now Abu Lahab, one of his other uncle who took over the leadership of Quraysh, and he created so many obstacles and problems for Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was forced to start going out and inviting others, other tribes. And of course, the first tribe, the major city which he tried was the Taif, where he went and was very disappointed from the reactions they gave. And he's now in this helpless stage. You can imagine how you feel that you are being isolated from all around you, and you have nowhere to go. Your family members and your uncles, they are all giving you hard time. Imagine, I mean, we cannot imagine the situation which Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went through, and but he went through all that, and that is the situation where then suddenly Allah Ta'ala decided to give him the greatest upliftment, and by giving him this great miracle of Miraj. And in the last few lessons, we covered the Miraj, that which was the journey, incredible journey. In fact, both parts. The first journey of the night from Mecca to Jerusalem on the Buraq, and then from Jerusalem, where he went through all the heavens and met several prophets who gave him the inauguration, if you like, or welcome in these different uh, heavens, and then all the way up to Sidratul Muntaha. And this is where he again saw Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam in his real form. And Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, as I described his real form, just to recall, if he comes in his real form, his feet will touch the bottomest seventh layer of the earth, and his head would touch the above the seventh heaven, which is Sidratul Muntaha. Right? So from Tahtus Sara to Sidratul Muntaha, and then Allah Ta'ala has given him 600 wings. If he opens only one wing, that is enough to cover the entire heaven and this universe. So that Rasulullah says, but this angel also surrendered himself at that point and said, Ya Rasulullah sallam, I cannot go on any further. And Rasulullah sallam went ahead from Sidratul Muntaha to see Allah Ta'ala. And what happened there, no one knows. Only some things have been mentioned in the Quran, as we have obviously looked into in detail in the last few lessons. I'm just trying to summarize at this stage so that we understand what we have covered so far. And then Rasulullah sallam now has come back. He informs the people about the Miraj. Obviously, they don't believe him. And in this process of around 11 years now have passed since he became the prophet, we find that very few Muslims, maybe around 300, 250, 300, 400 Muslims, they have accepted Islam because of the hardships, because of the obstacles they are facing. And at that point now, Rasulullah sallam, getting no support and comfort from his uncle Abu Lahab, he now starts looking out to other tribes. And the best opportunity he has is at the time of Hajj, because the mushrikeen and they also used to do the Hajj, but they were obviously worshipping their own idols. But they were using this ritual of Hajj, and they would do all the things, but with their idols in mind. But Rasulullah sallam, in Mina, he would go and from one tent to another, seeking the different tribes, like Banu Kinda, as we have mentioned, Banu Kalb, Banu Hanifa, and all these, Banu Amir, several of these big tribes. He is going around and talking to them. And just at this stage, he finds, this person, Amir bin Tufail from the Daws tribe. He has come to Makkah for some reason. Abu Lahab and his people, they warn him that, beware of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallam, that he may brainwash you, na'udhu billah. But still he says, I'm a leader of my tribe. I'm not a kid. that someone could just brainwash me. So he goes and sees Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He tries to investigate, and we found that he becomes Muslim. Because obviously, when people hear the Quran, this Quran is such a kalamullah, such a book of Allah Ta'ala. It has such attraction and nur and light inside it that it just penetrates inside. So when he hears, he immediately becomes Muslim, and then he goes back to his tribe. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam recommend for him that you should go back, because at this stage we are facing a lot of hardships here. So he goes back, but all his tribe becomes Muslim. So that's one situation takes place. But now Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is still working on, and one of the big tribes which is comparable with the Quraysh is the Banu Kinda. This tribe, where they've had battles with Quraysh for the leadership, and probably 200-300 years before they were above the Quraysh and they were the leaders. But now they are in this situation. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he goes and invites their chief leader, he listens to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he has an idea that maybe, so he says, well, why don't you come with me and talk to our people? And he invites Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam so that he can give him the dawat and invitation to his people. And before he comes, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam comes, he speaks to his people. He said, look, we have an opportunity here. This person is claiming he's the prophet. The Quraysh are avoiding him and creating problems for him. We have this opportunity to get the upper hand. Why don't we try and bring him on board with us? And that way, maybe we can again get the leadership back, right? So with this intention, they invite Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam reads the Quran and gives them the invitation, and then after speaking, the leader, he turns to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he says that we are ready to accept you. However, we have one question and one condition, if you like, that once you are gone, once you have done everything, then after you, we then get the leadership. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam now says, no, this will be decided by Allah Ta'ala, because we are following Islam, and everything is controlled and done by Allah Ta'ala. Whatever the order of Allah Ta'ala, He is going to decide who will be the leaders. They said that they said, if we are going to help you, we are going to support you, we are going to fight the wars with you, to get your leadership back. And after that, if we are not going to get anything out of it, then there is no point for us to. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, then I don't need your help and support. Right? So he's going from one tribe to another. And Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala an, he is with him, because Abu Bakr radiallahu an, he is well versed with the family trees of all these different tribes. He explains to them, And one of the other tribes which he goes to is Banu Shaiban ibn Salba. Banu Shaiban, this is also another very noble tribe, and they have very intelligent and wise people in their tribe, and they are very clever, because what they have done, they have not only managed to have good relationship with all the Arabs on one side, but they have also managed to create the relationship from the other side, which is, the big empires. They were only the two empires, Roman and Persian, and Kisra and Caesar were their emperors. So Kisra, they have relation, and these Kisra, these are the Al-Sasani. They used to worship the fire, and and they had a huge kingdom. But there was obviously battle between Kisra and Caesar, the Persian and Roman Empire. So these people, they had relationship on that side also. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave them invitation. They also put some conditions to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, no, we are not ready to accept. We if you're going to support us, then you have to give us full support. They were suggesting that, okay, from the Arab side, we will be with you. But from the Kisra side, we are not going to give you any support. So in reality, we will be half Muslim and half Mushrik. That's the basically bottom line they put. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that's not acceptable, because either you come on board fully, or so from one tribe to another, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is making effort. And at that point, as we discovered in the last lesson, that a very small group of people, I think around just about six people, they have come from Medina Munawwara. Well, Medina obviously is not the name at this stage. It is Yasrib, right? And these few people, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sees them, and he goes to them and asks them, who are you people? There's this very small group. Obviously, he's trying to get political asylum and protection, and for that, obviously, he needs big tribes. But he says, I might as well, and because Allah Ta'ala has his own plans. So Allah Ta'ala now, this group of people, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked them, who are you? So they say, we are from the Khazraj tribe. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Khazraj, is that the tribe which is from Yasrib, and you are the neighbors of the Jews, Yahud? They said, yes, we are the neighbor of the Yahud. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said, well, would you like to listen to me? And then he reads some Quran and gives them dawat, and they become very interested. They are the 3-4 people who were there: Jabir ibn Abdullah and Uqba ibn Amir and Asad ibn Zurara. These three, and there are 3-4 other people. They listen very carefully, and they are very much attracted. And in some riwayat is mentioned that they accept the Islam, and they go back to Medina Munawwara. And because they are so much affected, that and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is not even thinking, he just looked at this small group of people, gave them invitation, and that's it. But these group of people, they go back and they start spreading the word of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And of course, this Aus and Khazraj, these are the two major tribes in Yasrib at that time. And then there were as I mentioned in the last lesson, the Yahud. They had their own 3 tribes, big tribe, Banu Nadir, Banu Khuniqa, and Banu Qurayza. These tribes were present there, and they were always having skirmishes with the Arabs, the Jews, and they used to feel superior because they had a prophet. They were following Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, and in the Torah, and of course in Injil, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has been mentioned that another prophet is coming. So they were always saying to these people that, look, we are just waiting for the prophet. Once he comes, then you will be finished, and you will be cleaned out, right? So these Aus and Khazraj, they, in the background, actually, these people are actually from Yemen, and they have actually probably hundreds of years ago. They have settled down in Yathrib here, but they were rivals. Both Aus and Khazraj, they were having big issues with them, and problems with each other, and they were on the verge of war, in fact, because of differences between themselves. And at that point, these six people, they come back and they talked about, uh, and they said, look, the Jews who have been telling us that a prophet is coming, it looks like this is the prophet these six people have met. And so why don't we go forward and get him on our side? Uh, and this is how Allah Ta'ala is working. So Allah Ta'ala is putting this in their mind, Jabir ibn Abdullah, who obviously is one of the early ones, who says that we spoke to our people, and we told them that why don't we go next time and try and see him, right? And so this time in the next Hajj, so this is around the 11th or 12th Hijri now, 11th Hijri probably, not Hijri, sorry, 11th Hijri calendar hasn't started yet. The 11th year of Nabuwa of Rasulullah. And this time, instead of six, about 12, 13 people they go this time. And they go with the intention of seeing the Prophet. And these people also are going with the intention of talking to the Arab tribes, that we may be the Khazraj, the Khazraj people, that we may be having some battles and wars with us. So they wanted to get support from the Arab. So with this two intention, the number of people they come for the Hajj, and out, including them are these 6-7 people who had been before, right? So now they come and they meet Rasulullah Sallallahu for the first time, and they are very impressed. Rasulullah Sallallahu, when he reads the Quran, and they all accept Islam, and they say that we are ready, inshallah, to take the message back. But however, we need some support from you. Why don't you give us someone who can teach us Islam, and that way it will be faster. So now at that point, Rasulullah Sallallahu, he sends Musab bin Umair radiallahu ta'ala. Musab bin Umair radiallahu, his history is that he's a very noble, belongs to a very noble family, royal family in fact, and his parents are very rich, and he has lived all his life in comfort and luxury. In fact, he used to wear, it's mentioned in the riwayat, he used to wear, very rich clothes, dresses. He used to wear the most expensive perfume ever available anywhere. So he was living a very rich and luxurious life. But then when he saw Islam, he immediately turned to Islam and accepted the Islam, and gave his hand to Rasulullah Sallallahu, and threw away that luxurious life. So Rasulullah Sallallahu, and he's well versed with the Quran also. So Rasulullah Sallallahu decided to send Musab bin Umair with this group of 12, 13 people. They go back, and within a few months, he has made such an effort that more than 40, 50 people are in Islam in Medina Munawwara, or Yathrib, in fact, at that time. So they send a message to Rasulullah Sallallahu that we have now, alhamdulillah, 40 people who are, and of course, Miraj has already happened. So the biggest order of Allah Ta'ala is the salat. That is there. Apart from that, the Islam is very basic at that time. Not many orders, but apart from the 5 times salat, and the mainly they have to, whenever Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave invitation, they had to make sure that they don't commit shirk, create partners with Allah Ta'ala, they don't commit murder, they don't steal, they don't lie. These big sins Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to warn them about. And plus they have to make sure that they lead a righteous life and obedient life, and follow the message of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This was the so now they Musab bin Umair sends a message that we are now 40 people. Can we perform the salat together? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he gives them permission to perform the Juma salat. And now ulama, they have written, and Ibn Hisham also has mentioned this in the Seerah book, that this is the first Juma ever to be held, because of course in Makkah they cannot have this congregation or Jama'ah openly because of the restrictions, and they cannot do collective ibadat in Makkah. So the first Juma which was established was in Yasrib, and it was led by Musab bin Umair radiallahu ta'ala. And there were around 40 people who were present at that time, who had become Muslim. And they continue making progress. And the following year of the Hajj, that means that the 12th year of Nabuwa now, more than 70 people, they come this time. And they are all very eager to see Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And they have made one big decision. And this has been, in fact, reported by Jabir ibn Abdullah, who narrates that, I spoke to our people that, look, we know about the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that he's gone through lot of hardships, and the kuffar and mushrikeen in Makkah are giving him very hard time. He's facing sacrifices after sacrifices, and they have made life difficult for him to live there. Why don't we? So how long do we want to, now that we have become Muslim, how long do we want him to live in this situation? Why don't we all agree and we go with this intention this time that we are going to bring him back, right? So and this idea, Jabir ibn Abdullah, he says that Allah put this idea in my mind, and with this idea everyone agreed, and we came, and this is the one of the big historical moments in the history of Islam, which in fact is known as the Bat-e Aqaba, which took place in Aqaba. Is actually a place in Mina where where the if you remember, those who have gone for Hajj, this is a place where we go for the stoning the shaitan, Jamarat and all that in the Aqaba. So major Bath took place. Bath means, they all wanted to see Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and give their hands in his hand and say, we are ready to accept whatever you say to us. Right? So it's a major historical moment. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is informed, and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam decides that before you leave, so just on the last days of the Hajj, so probably around the Ibn Hisham has written maybe around the 12th or 13th of Dhul Hijjah. This is where the last day of the Mina, where they decide that they will meet in the valley of Aqaba, and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he comes in the night, and uh, of course, Abu Lahab is giving hard time, but his other uncle, who also is not Muslims yet, but because he has love for him, and that is Abbas, who later on becomes Muslim, but he is not Muslim at that time. So Abbas is there with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is trying to provide some support to him. And ulama, they have written that he's probably the same age as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also. So, he is there, and he says, I'm not going to let you go in this night, and you don't know who these people are. And so it's better I come with you. So he attached himself, although he's not a Muslim, right? And now the people of Aus and Khazraj, that's also been written that they've had a big war between each other, and that war, the Battle of Boaz, is mentioned. And in this battle, most of their senior leaders, they die from each side, and they are killed. They fight each other, and now only these youngsters, most of the youngsters are remaining, and that is why they have made this decision now that, look, how long we are going to continue in this silly way of our forefathers, where we fight each other for small things. Let's forget all this. Let's join together, and let's bring the Prophet Muhammadur Rasulullah Sallallahu back with us. Right? So they have come with this intention, but most of their senior people are gone. And Abbas, he says that he has been to many business trips to Yasrib in the past, and he has met their elders. So he knows them. So he says, look, I don't want you to go alone like this in the middle of the night. I'm going to come with you. So Rasulullah Sallallahu accept him. He comes, and although he's not accepting Islam, but he's providing that support in the similar way as Abu Talib, not in the same way as Abu Talib, but to a certain extent. So he comes with him, and all the people. Now these Aus and Khazraj people also, they have the Muslims and non-Muslims with them. So the Muslims, they hide themselves, and they secretly come out of their tents, and they collect in this area. And here everyone is gathered, and now Jabir ibn Abdullah and one or two other of them, they stand up, and they put this proposal to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that we want you to come with us. We are ready to accept and give whatever you want to tell us. Tell us what you want. And at this point, instead of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Abbas, who obviously is the uncle, and he is considering himself is the protector of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he stands up and he says, look, my nephew, he is living with us. He's a very noble person, and he is well respected, and he has full protection here. And obviously he's trying to lie a little bit, but just to show, because on one side he's feeling embarrassed that he's unable to do anything, but on the other side he's giving an impression to these people that, if you are ready to take him, it will have to be under some conditions, right? So he gives this story that, he has decided to go back with you, but of course we want him to have the full protection. So now the leaders of the Khazraj and Aus tribe, they said, look, we've heard enough from you. We would like to hear from the Prophet Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stands up, and now first after the tilawat of Quran, he he tells them that, look, I am seeking protection. My only condition is that you take me with you, and you will deal with me in the same way as you would deal with your wife and children. So I will become a member of, like, a family. So like the family is protected, in the same way I will have the protection. So now, Jabir ibn Abdullah and the one or two others, they stand up and they say, we are ready, Ya Rasulullah sallam, we are ready to accept you, and we are ready to do bayat and give our hands and obey whatever you tell us. Right? So Rasulullah sallam tells them that, look, and the basic things, that you have to avoid shirk, you have to lead a righteous life, no stealing, no murders, no killing, all these things which are basics of Islam, and that you have to follow whatever the messages I'm giving you, and provide me the protection. And they all agree with this. They said, we are ready to accept this, but there is one condition from our side, that what if we take you back with us, and then later on you are victorious, we fight with you and we win the battles. Once you have this upper hand, are you going to leave us and go back to your own people or your family? This is the concern of the people of Medina, or people of Yathrib at the time. Medina is going to become, after the Hijrah, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is going to change the name, but this is the concern they have. So they say that, our concern is that once you have this upper hand and once you have become the leader, are you going to leave us and go back to your family? So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gives them assurance that, no, I'm going to stay with you. I'm not going to come back and go back to my own tribe. He gives them the assurance. So it is decided at that point, before the bath starts, one other, from the Khazraj, one of the leaders, he stands up. And I think it's Jabir ibn Abdullah. And he says, look, before you take the bath, before you give your hand, remember that once we take Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with us, we are opening the doors of hardships and battles and wars. Because these people, mushrikeen, they are not going to rest, and they are going to come and attack us. And that means there will be, battles and wars. Are you prepared for all that? And all of the, 74, 75, and this is a very historical moment, they give the bayat and they give the hand to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that yes, we are ready to accept this. So this historical thing happens, and now after this, of course we've run out of time. In fact, we've gone over a little bit. It's because it's so interesting now, the situation. And now these people, they are going back now, and they take Musab bin Umair. Of course, he goes back with them, and they are very happy. Once they are back, now more and more people, they are coming into the fold of Islam. But except for the couple of leaders who are the big influencer in Aus and Khazraj. So inshallah, we'll look at how, and this is actually, two important people, in fact, who later on they become Muslim. That is Sa'ad ibn Muaz and Usaid ibn Hudayr. And Sa'ad ibn Muaz is actually the the cousin of Asad bin Zurara, who is known as Abu Umama. So inshallah, we will go into details what happens as they go back now to Yasrib, and how the things will unfold. Inshallah, we will continue. It's getting more and more interesting. This is a major turning point now, and this is the point where the Islamic calendar is also going to start, inshallah. So at this point, I'm going to end it, inshallah. May Allah Ta'ala give us the ability to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.